Welcome to Modern Latin America in 15 minutes. My name is Dr. Kim Richardson, and today we're going to discuss neocolonialism. Neocolonialism, as the name implies, means that you have a new, neo means new, colony, colonialism. And what that means is we already know what colonialism is, but this is a new type of colonialism in which you are politically independent. Now, in the 1820s, for the most part, with a few exceptions such as Puerto Rico and Cuba, Latin America got its independence politically. But were they really in charge of their own economy? No. Neocolonialism means that truly much of their economy is controlled by another power, a neocolonial power. Who is that power? Well, as you'll see here, first I originally titled this United States and Latin America, but then I thought, well, it's a little bit more than that, because it is like this. Foreign influence in the 19th century was above all England. And you study Latin America, England really dominates in the 19th century, but in the 20th century, it will be the United States. The United States dominated much of Latin America in the 20th century. This story begins with Monroe Doctrine. In this, that we've already discussed, it says that we should consider any attempt on the European powers' part, to extend their system to any portion of this hemisphere as dangerous to our peace and safety. We don't want Europe meddling in the affairs of the Americas. If anybody is going to meddle, interfere in the affairs of the Americas, we want it to be us, the United States, especially after that idea, the manifest destiny, came about. As we conclude this little section on the manifest destiny, it said, who then can doubt that our country is destined to be the great nation of futurity? It is, we said, our God-given right to spread American-style Protestant Christianity and American-style democracy from sea to shining sea. And we did. We took over half of Mexico in the 1840s. Here's a great quote in 1885. Reverend Josiah Strong stated, having developed peculiarly aggressive traits calculated to impress its institutions upon mankind, the United States will spread itself over the earth. If I read not amiss, this powerful race will move down Central and South America, out upon the islands of the sea, over upon Africa, and beyond. And can anyone doubt that the result of this competition of races will be the survival of the fittest? So what we have is neocolonialism. England, then the United States, dominating the Western Hemisphere. One of the fathers of the neocolonial development of the United States is Theodore Roosevelt. He took the Monroe Doctrine and he added upon it the Roosevelt Corollary to the Monroe Doctrine. It says, as we come down here, right in the middle we'll start, chronic wrongdoing, or an impotence which results in a general loosening of the ties of civilized society may in America, as elsewhere, ultimately require intervention by some civilized nation, and in the Western Hemisphere, the adherents of the United States to the Monroe Doctrine may force the United States, however reluctantly, in flagrant cases of such wrongdoing or impotence, to the exercise of an international police power. We are going to exercise police power in the Western Hemisphere in order to retain neocolonial power. Roosevelt, as you can see here, is going to act on the big stick diplomacy, carrying a big stick right here as he sits on top of the globe. Walk softly and carry a big stick. I have always been fond of the West African proverb, speak softly and carry a big stick. You will go far. And indeed, that's what he's going to do. But what is this big stick? Oftentimes, big stick, right? You, instead of lecturing somebody to death, you bonk them over the head with a big old stick. But sometimes the big stick is not an actual stick. And that is one thing that we have to keep in mind. It could be money, dollar diplomacy. That is oftentimes how we use the big stick diplomacy there, $2 diplomacy. So let us suppose that I want my kids to do their chores, and I say, if you do your chores, I will give you allowance. If you don't do your chores, I will not give you allowance. Same thing goes with Latin America. If you get somebody to do what you want by giving them or withholding money from them, that is dollar diplomacy. And our big stick policy is going to be run more times than not through dollar diplomacy. Of course, we're going to use the Marines, as I'll show you, but we're also going to use the almighty dollar, and that is very important. This is neocolonialism. So we've already outlined, specified that the United States is now the neocolonial power, and we're going to use the Roosevelt corollary to the Monroe Doctrine and the big stick diplomacy, but the big stick is oftentimes dollars. Now, neocolonialism has monoculture as the marked feature of the neocolonial order. What does that mean? That means that usually, more times than not, they're going to grow one major crop per region and export it. They're going to export it to the neocolonial power. The raw goods exported to the neocolonial power, who in turn wants to trade manufactured goods to that power. There's going to be a consolidation of land holding, which means that oftentimes, in order to grow more and more crops of whatever it is, whether it's coffee, bananas, whatever, you're going to have larger and larger lands. That is called latifundia right here. It comes from the Latin term it doesn't matter, latifundia. Sometimes, however, people hold on to their land for generations and generations. But because they have kids, it gets subdivided amongst their children and gets smaller and smaller. That's called minifundia. Either a latifundia or minifundia has a problem. One owns too much land, so it's ineffectively used. The other has too little land, so they're not able to use it effectively to survive. Either one, the consolidation of landholding is a maldistribution of land. This oftentimes leads to debt peonage, in which the people that used to live on the land, they still live on the land, but they have to provide their labor to the patron or patrão, the landowner. And they're going to be tied to the landowner by debt. Debt peonage is a marked feature as well as monoculture of this neocolonial order. Now, oftentimes they're going to be tied in with something called the tienda de raya, which is the company store. The debt peons have to buy food at the company store. The company store marks up the prices and also says that the debt peons will receive their pay in coupons or tokens or yellow or pink slips of paper and can only use it, redeem it at the company store. So they're getting more and more tied in. So monoculture, consolidation of landholding, and number 3, foreign control of resources. More times than not, foreigners are going to control the resources. And we all know so many examples of foreign control of resources, such as oil, railroads in Latin America. But I'm going to talk in just a minute about other resources that are foreign controlled as well. So far we have United States as a neocolonial power, and we say that these monoculture, consolidation of landholding, and foreign control of resources are marked features as well. Let's take the example of Central America super quick and say if we take a graph of Central America, they have one crop, coffee, above all else until 1980s when they do have coffee as a major export, but they also have a few other things. What that means that it has monoculture, coffee. In order to do so, you got consolidation of landholdings, and number 3, foreigners are going to control that land and the export of those goods. Right there. It is a neocolonial. These are, I should say, neocolonial dependencies of who? The United States, the 20th century. If you take this, and I took the top of this off so you cannot see it. Costa Rica, El Salvador, all of Central America, 71% of their exports goes somewhere. 56, 67, 87, 78, 93. Where are they going? The answer is, well, who is the neocolonial power? The United States. You sell the raw products to them. Then, in turn, you import the manufactured products. 52, 79, 61, 85, 73, 73. Most of them come from that neocolonial power. 20s up to the 21st century, the United States, therefore, controls the economy of Latin America. If you go to the grocery store and you take out your phone at the produce section, as just one example, you can see that a lot of these goods are coming from Latin America, strictly to the United States. These are raw goods. coming directly to the United States, and then we'll ship something else back to them. The United States and World History is a great book. The United States government deployed its military might, its financial reputation, and its technical expertise to facilitate the expansion of the state's major economic institutions. In other words, what we're going to see is trade and security are the twin pursuits of neocolonialism. President William Howard Taft stated, "Foreign policy would include active intervention to secure our merchandise and our capitalist opportunity for profitable investment. We are going to use the military to protect trade and security." So from 1898 to 1934, as a specific example, right? The United States is going to intervene in Cuba, Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama, Colombia, Haiti, Dominican Republic. All of these places we are going to intervene in. Why? To protect our twin pursuits of trade and security. And that is the key to neocolonialism. Here's a great example closer to home. Here in the United States, there's a company that owns a great deal of mining operations. So it's an American company. As far as I'm aware, it's still American. They keep trading and selling these companies right here. They mine these goods and they export it to this central location. This particular company mine is located in Utah, is one of the biggest open pit mines in the world, as you can see here. These trucks are absolutely enormous, and they pull out from Latin America, not just North America, Latin America, major mining minerals. So, for example, you got Peru or Chile or wherever, northeastern South America, right at this cuff right here, which is still Brazil, and you say that they have one major export here coming out. That means since the economy is dependent on this major export, and that means that this company controls the economy, since this company controls that export. So are they really in charge of their own economy if their economy is dependent on a foreign company to control their exports? And the answer is no. They're not really in control. So it is neocolonialism. All right, that is neocolonialism in 15 minutes. There's much more I could discuss about this, but remember, I'm going to take 1 minute to review what I just said. I wanted to emphasize the United States is a neocolonial power. The United States is going to retain neocolonial power through the Roosevelt Corollary to the Monroe Doctrine. But we're going to oftentimes, with the big stick diplomacy, use dollar diplomacy. And this means that the countries are politically independent, yes, but they're not economically independent. They're economically dependent on the neocolonial power. Therefore, not only do they sell to foreigners, but oftentimes foreigners control the mineral resources or whatever it is, bananas, coffee, whatever it might be at the time. It's controlled by foreigners. And as such, they are not in control whatsoever, right? It's controlled by foreigners. They sell it to the foreigners. They do not control anything, if you think about it, right here. So the United States oftentimes will go in and use our twin pursuits of trade security in order to protect our investment, but also, especially during the Cold War, for security reasons. You know, as they so often like to say, we cannot allow a communist country west of or south of the Rio Grande. We just can't, you know. All right, so that's Modern Latin America in 15 minutes and neocolonialism. Make sure and review neocolonialism, and I will see you for the next lecture.